Well, Rylixmods came back to a somewhat of a surprise for me. Now, some of you may know Rylix SFC, and some of you may not. For those who don't, Rylixmods SFC was the owner of Rylixmods organization. He used to be a somewhat prominent hacker in Geometry Dash back in around 2021 to 2022. Now, after getting exposed numerous times, including some by my friends, he quit the account. But recently, he came back again and made an announcement here. Now, the reason that was the case was because one of my friends, that goes by Jarvis Devil, made an exposal video on him, which he went ahead and watched and tried arguing about. Now, this video included 4 main topics, being the malware he used to put on some of his free programs that he used to give out to people, then some of his files that got leaked, which he got totally wrong here, then some of the disgusting stuff he sent to minors, which in my opinion cannot be justified in any possible way, and the gore levels, which also are completely not true. Now, first of all, the malware topic, which was first exposed by MRAP, CNSL, CalocTD, and Tragerr a while back, which was the main catalyst for him actually quitting his account. Now, about that, he said that he did talk about it before, which he actually did talk about, but he lied numerous times about it. One time saying that he didn't actually put malware in his script, and another time saying that he did it for security reasons, which doesn't make any sense at all. Now, back to this text here. Now, he talks about some of his files that got leaked, which, although he admits is true, says that some of his programs, like the brute force one, which are pretty harmful, were not actually leaked, which is completely not true, and he also knows this. I'll come back to this later. Now, the disgusting stuff from his side is, as he claims, to be humor, as basically claiming that being 16 and sending sexual messages to a 13-year-old is justified because of humorous reasons. And then for the gore, he claims that although he did make gore levels, it wasn't actually before he became a cybersecurity hacker. Now, in my opinion, all of these are completely false, and I'll explain why. Now, the malware topic, first of all, is completely false, since Todd GD made a video on this, explaining how he used malware and what he actually stole, being Discord tokens, Geometry.save files, and maybe even more. Now, about the brute force program. Although he claims that this hasn't been leaked before, actually, one of my friends, Tragerr, was able to recreate it using screenshots, since Rylix was dumb enough to actually show parts of his code, his public VC on his server, which he knows we have, since I tried messaging him on Instagram to come back on his personal account. And of course, after that, he actually blocked me, which is why I now have to show his account on this video using an old account of mine. And lastly, here he claims that the gore levels will actually be made before become a cybersecurity hacker, which we can already find that it's not true by searching for gore right here. As we can see, somewhere over here, he actually pinged everyone saying that he was actually creating a gore level in VC, which is right here. This was uploaded on 2023, saying everyone to join a Discord call because he's making a gore level. But now, if you go on his about page right here, he made a message in 2023 and then 2022 before that. Now, in these messages, he claims that he was a cybersecurity programmer at that time, which will actually predate him making this message here about making a gore level. So the statement about making gore levels before becoming a cybersecurity expert, which we actually know he isn't because he even lied about that, is completely not true, since he made gore levels even after claiming to be a cybersecurity programmer. Now, if you actually go and search for Rylixmods on Google, Some of the first results will be exposals made by several people. If I go on the videos here, first of all, it's going to be, of course, its YouTube channel, and then there's going to be some exposals. There's going to be mainly videos by Faway, Jarvis Devil, and Todd GD, also known as MRAPs. Now, these people already exposed some of his previous behavior, this being all the lies and manipulation about him working with Anaban, which would mean that he used to make programs for hacking geometries when he was just 9 or 10 years old, and also some of his weird behavior in messages. Now, if you actually go and watch his YouTube, right here, it's gonna have some videos about hacking geometries. Now, the last time he uploaded was around 1 to 2 years ago, as you can see right here. But this actually wasn't how Rylixmods always was. Rylixmods actually used to make videos about mod menus for Among Us. Now, how we know this is because of one of his accounts on Geometry Dash, being Rylix, which has a YouTube account linked to it. Now, unfortunately, this account has been deleted due to violating the community guidelines. But luckily for us, there have been some recoveries on the Wayback Machine right here. One of them being on 2022 and another one being for 2021. Now, looking at the most recent one, we can see he has some videos here, right here. One of them being the way he hacked GG Boy's account, which is actually the creator of Cataclysm. But besides that, there isn't really much to see. There are some videos about hacking Geometry Dash and some other weird stuff, which doesn't really prove much. But that's because he actually deleted some of his videos. Now, right here, we can see that the earliest video on his account from the 2022 archive was friend request hack just with the account ID. Although, if we go on the 2021 archive and go very back, this video is only the third earliest, being predated by the mod menu by him, including NoClip, and right here, the Among Us mod menu. Now, what information can we get from this? Actually, Rylixmods used to have some alt accounts going by other identities. Now, what this information helps us to conclude is one of them being Anaban & Co., which he actually used to impersonate Anaban, saying that he actually worked with Anaban. Now, one of the reasons this actually proved this being this video right here, being the Among Us mod menu, which was from Rylix's past, which even he's too embarrassed to admit. Now, pretty much everything here is just straight up lying. For example, this video right here being Bloodbath hacked, which if we actually go and watch, looks pretty believable. He's going here, searching for the level Bloodbath, and when he opens it, the level is actually hacked. It has this cryptic message at the end, being similar to the one that Anaban made a while ago. Now, how can we know that this was actually faked? First of all, the video here was released 4 years ago. But if you go on Riot's account and some of his most recent comments, there's a comment right here from 5 years ago, predating that video, saying that, for the record, Ropto froze all Riot levels server-side. Which means that there is no way for anyone, even if they access Riot's account, to edit the level in any way, shape, or form. Now, there is another video that he made, being the Michigan hacked video right here, which he claims to have actually hacked Michigan. Now, first of all, RobTop actually login locked Michigan's account along with some other people who quit or died, including Dorabi, for example. And that begs the question, how is this possible that he actually made this message appear here? Now, as you can see, this isn't actually the normal Geometry Dash. This is GD Browser. This is the same thing that I use here. And the thing with the browser version is that you can easily go right here on any comment. You can right-click, inspect, and then you can easily edit it. For example, right here, I have this comment, And I can easily edit any data here. If I want, I can maybe delete it or something, or maybe I can edit other stuff right here. For example, the time, which was from, it says 3 years ago, I can change this to whatever I want. It will actually change the value. Now, of course, this is not something permanent. If I actually refresh the page, it will go back to normal right here. But as we can see on this video here, he never actually refreshes the page, which does indicate the fact that this was faked using inspect elements or some similar method. And the dead giveaway for this actually being a Rylix ult being the latest video right here, called How I Actually Hacked Geometry.dat's accounts in 2.1, down link in the description. Now, to protect his identity on this video, he actually uses a voice changer to pretend he's Anaban, which we can hear right here in a moment.
And hello guys, and welcome.
He even admits it right here. Sorry for the voice changer. I want to stay anonymous. Basically saying anonymous. Now, right here on the description, it says, my friend Rylixmods has a version of the brute force. By the way, he also programmed this brute force. And I was only adding some stuff on it, so check him out on his Instagram. Which actually isn't his personal Instagram, but I'll get to this later on. Now in this video, he actually goes on the recent tab and tries finding an account to hack. In this case, the account he hacks here, having uploaded the level on the recent tab. Gratin 12. Now, allegedly, this video uses a brute force attack. Now, let's see. He runs a program on the account. And in just a few seconds, it allegedly has already cracked the account using a brute force. Now, I actually do have his brute force right here, along with some other scripts. I go on Visual Studio. Now, let's start with the account hacking tool. Now, what this is supposed to do right here is generate a random password between 6 and 20 characters, which then will be tested on an account. Now, this here is not the actual official version of the account hacking tool. This is based off of screenshots that were put together to actually create the tool. And all of those scripts right here, including viewbots, likebots, ratebots, and stuff, some of them were actually sent by Rylix himself, some were recreated using screenshots, and I will actually upload them as a whole. But you need to keep in mind that these are actually really broken, especially the account hacking tool and the account creator, which don't even work at all due to changes in 2.2. So I wouldn't actually suggest that you use any of them for any reason, since they're extremely broken and they're really unreliable. Now, what this guy does here is generate a random password using those characters right here, between 6 and 19 characters. Now, for this to work, you need to send a lot of requests. But the way he does it is using free proxies. Now, I don't actually know if any of you have ever used free proxies before, but I have used many free proxies before for my likebots and stuff. I can actually validate the fact that they are extremely bad. Like at most you're gonna get maybe 10 or 20 a second if you have a really fast bot. But if you actually calculate the combinations possible for a password, it'll actually take probably forever for you to actually even get access to the account if you actually brute force it the way he does. So whatever he's doing, which allegedly takes seconds, is completely false to an actual brute force. Which, first of all, concludes the fact that this video right here is not just lying, but it's also not even an actual account hacking tool, which can also become a little more obvious later after he goes and tests the account right here. Now, there's the account, and after clicking login, it of course works. Now, the only issue being that this account is actually completely empty. There's literally nothing. The only thing this account has being this one level being uploaded on the recent tab, which can very easily indicate him using an alt account of sorts to do this, and not actually even attempting any hacking method of this account. If not, then it's very likely that he used some friend's account or maybe an account whose password he got before. since Rylix used to use a service called Rylix, which if you actually pay for the life plan, which is I believe $70 to actually get, you can search for usernames, and if there are any known breaches, it will actually give you possible passwords for that username. It's very possible that he actually found this account on some breach using Rylix, or maybe some old account he created simply for this video. Fortunately, there is no actual account ID shown to actually track the time it was created, but considering the account doesn't really have anything, it's pretty obvious that it's not actually an actual account that he hacked. So it actually proves that whatever he's doing in this video is totally nothing that you should believe. Now, actually, Rylixmods uploaded a similar video using a brute force and a dictionary hack on his Rylixmods account. Now, if you go on his YouTube channel right here, you won't actually be able to find it. That's because the video got deleted for violating the community guidelines for YouTube, which makes sense. But luckily for us, we were able to make a backup of this video right here. Now at the start this doesn't really show much, besides the fact that he has the account hacking tool and the account hacking tool vid2 right here. Now, if we go later on the video, he's going to explain how each one of them works. For example, this here being the one we saw before, with the random range between 6 and 20 characters, or well, even though it says 19, it's actually different for Python the way it works. And the dictionary attack right here, it actually finds leaks allegedly on the darknet and here on the clear web. Now, right here, he actually explains that hacking T-Boy's account took around 1 month to do. Now, if we actually do the math with the speed and the possible passwords, we can conclude that those numbers are completely made up. There's no way that a brute force tool that's very unoptimized like keys, that actually uses free proxies, is going to be able to crack such a password. Like, even though Geometry doesn't have the best security out there and doesn't allow for any special characters, 1 month using his tool is still nowhere near as long as it will take to even crack a simple password, judging by the amount of combinations there are and also the speed of the tool. Now later on, he actually does do the same thing as he did on his old account, by finding this account by FrixGD on the recent tab, which he actually uses on the tool, and after a while attempts to hack using the password he finds. Now this account, if you actually go search for it, has been inactive almost ever since it allegedly got hacked, which can pretty much also indicate that it was an old account, or maybe the account of some friend, or maybe potentially even his own account that he used for this video. Now, even if you believe that maybe there is some way that he managed to do this, there is even more proof to show that this guy really doesn't know what he's doing. And that's by looking at his other hacks right here. Now, we already looked at the account hacking tool here, which we already concluded is extremely bad. But let's look at the others. Now, the account hacking tool won't actually work anymore for 2.2, since the parameters were changed, so this would actually never end up working. And there is another one that he used, being the account creator tool, which now is also pretty much useless. The reason for this being useless being the fact that Outlook has been, well, blacklisted is the best way to explain this. So you can no longer create any Geometry account using Outlook. Initially, it was possible to make a Geometry account using pretty much any email, but after Optop noticed the problem with many bot accounts being created, he actually made a whitelist with only a few email providers being allowed. And after people like my friend Sevenworks and Tragerr, and Rylixmods spamming accounts using Outlook, he eventually decided to remove Outlook of the whitelist completely. Which means that this right here is not just very badly made, which is pretty obvious by just looking at the code in the first place, but it's also not even working anymore. But there are some that might actually work. There are those ones, the likebot, ratebot, and viewbot. Now, those ones were actually made and sent by Rylix, along with some recreations right here. Some of the other ones, like the Demon Changer, weren't actually made by Rylix, but due to some screenshots that we had, we were able to recreate them, which was specifically done from Andrew Stracano and Tragerr a while ago, and then later passed on to the rest of the team to actually showcase and test ourselves right here. Now, looking at his code, he actually claimed that making programs like the likebot and the viewbot took several months or even years. Now, unless Rylix was actually even more stupid than he actually is, this would not make any sense at all. Now, for example, when I started programming for Geometry Dash, making my first likebot only took around a few days, maybe like a week at most, because I also had schoolwork and stuff to do. But he said that this right here actually took him several months to actually create, which is totally just made up so he can actually make it seem like it's a lot harder than it actually is. Now, not only is it actually hard to bot Geometry Dash, and the anti-bot system is really bad, but there is an entire documentation, which I have also pinned on a message on my Discord server, which actually has mostly working parameters on how to make programs to interact with the Geometry Dash servers yourself. And looking at some of those codes shows that he really doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't even know how to print new lines. So instead he only just uses print right here. Or maybe some of those things here, old proxies, expired UDITs and stuff like that, which don't make sense at all. Now some of them you can argue that they make sense. For example, the old proxies, maybe he doesn't want to use proxies and stuff. But stuff like UDIDs, also known as device IDs, are actually not something that can expire or something that gets rate limited. So him actually doing all that just shows that he doesn't even know what most of these things are, or even maybe how they work. And if you thought that this was the only thing about Rylix, then you'd be wrong. Rylix actually has another career known as XY. Now, if you go on his Discord account right here, he does have a little bio about himself, saying chill individual who loves hardcore techno and loves playing it on the piano. Now it just happens that this account right here called XY does some of those stuff and makes music, which also happened to have left YouTube as a whole around the same time that Rylix did. And even though it doesn't appear that Rylix uses his account anymore, it's pretty obvious that he's still active on this account, but he intentionally refuses to make anything public here. The way we can conclude this is by going on the playlist right here, where he has a playlist right here, like Rylix's favorite music, which was updated actually today. Now, last time I checked, which was before recording this video, this only had 499 videos. So we can actually say that in the past few minutes of me actually preparing the information, he actually even updated this right now in the last maybe hour or so, which shows that he's actually still active on this account, but he just refuses to do anything about it. Now, how can we prove though that XY is Rylix's old? Now, he may make the same music and may have quit around the same time, but it doesn't really prove much. Now, there are two ways to actually prove that this is in fact a Rylixmods old. Now, first of all, if you go on Discord, XY does actually have a Discord server here, XY Lounge, which isn't really that popular, only having a few members right here. But guess who's here? If we scroll down, Rylixmods is on this server. And it's not just Rylixmods, it's also this guy right here, G7 Rizzy, who also is a moderator on Rylixmods organization right here. And if that wasn't enough, Rylixmods actually used to promote his channel on Geometry Dash, like a lot of people do, using levels and comments and stuff. Now, some of those levels were deleted due to them actually having gore and stuff, but some levels he used to upload had the names warning and space and then some numbers after that. And if I search for that, there's gonna be a lot of different levels. But if you go around here, around page 170, or what's it again? Sure, where it is. There's been a lot of new levels that have been uploaded since the last time I checked. You can see some of those here. Finally found them. Warning, spaces, and then a few numbers. Now if you actually play some of those levels, right here, it's gonna say subscribe to Rylixmods SFC on YouTube. Believe me, you won't regret it. Now, you go here though, we can see that the song uses Call from the Sky V2 by XY, this guy right here, which was actually the same person who we said is supposed to be Rylix's alt. Now, how can we validate though that this was in fact Rylix who uploaded this here? Now, if you go on some of Rylix's videos right here, on the comment section of some, there are some people who actually did talk about this. Now, first of all, we can see that there is a lot of people watching these videos, which is one thing. And as you can see, here's one proof. He commented on my Geometry Dash level Spiders and the Part 1, which kind of proves that he used to bot using comment bots to post levels and comments on the recent tab. And some people even mention some of the level spams right here. Now, on his levels, he actually said, trust me, you won't regret it. Here's one thing. For example, warning, random numbers, saying the text, subscribe to Rylixmods, trust me, you won't regret it, which was the exact same level we found earlier, proving in fact that he was the one who uploaded those levels and used the songs by his alt account, in that case being XY. So now we have already concluded that he has some alt accounts. But where is Rylix now? What has he been doing in the past year or so? Now, Rylix actually has an Instagram account right here, going by his actual name being Faris Hasanbegovic. Now, as mentioned previously, he has actually blocked me on this one after I tried exposing him. But right here, he does upload some stories about him playing the piano and even apparently doxing himself or something. And also, for the love of God, please do not harass anyone here. It's not his family's fault that he's a moron. And also, preferably, do not interact and harass Rylix himself. This is just for informing everyone and not to actually spread hate onto him. Now, if you want to do the right thing, just avoid him as a whole, since he's pretty much a big liar and also a very messed up person. Now, there is one other thing that I found proving that he does in fact lie, not just to his own community but also outside it, being a video right here by EchoGD titled The Hacker Who Broke Geometry Dash. Now, going down here and sorting comments by newest verse won't so much until you scroll a little, and then you find this comment right here. And guess who's here? Rylixmods. 2 years ago, he made a comment, which is actually full of lies, and I'll explain shortly why. Now, this comment, first of all, he introduced himself as Rylixmods, and later talks about being in a clan called the GDA that had involvations with team hacks in 2016, which would mean he'd be just a kid back then working with people who actually found insanely dangerous vulnerabilities in the system. The hacker of GG Boy, which is probably the only truth here. And also the DDoS attacks in 2021, which isn't possible since Shroptop actually implemented Cloudflare, which is a WAF or web application firewall, which actually does have DDoS protection to protect the server from any DDoS attacks. And for anyone who doesn't know what DDoS is when you send a lot of data to a server to take the servers down and crash the website, which also stands for distributed denial of service attack. Now, right here, he's saying that they only did this for education and fun, and they don't care about destroying the game. The intentions being to educate people and learn lessons and stuff. And also talks about how he can hack anyone in the game, which is completely not true. Looking at his code earlier, which we already concluded cannot hack anybody by the slowness. And later talking about how Ruptop is the only exception to having a token authentication, which is not actually confirmed that this is the exact case, but it's pretty much implied that Ruptop's account can no longer be hacked for numerous reasons and stuff. Now, he also claims that the last account he hacked was Sobros 2 months ago from the 2 years he uploaded this, which is completely not true. The only accomplishment this guy has ever actually made was hacking GG Boy, which wasn't even using one of his tools, because the password was most definitely just found in some random breach using leak check or something. Now, lastly, if you go on his server again right here, go on the announcements, you can see he has talked about numerous topics in the past too. Some of them talking about the exposals made on him by Kalok and by Todd GD, which begins around here, where he claims my hacks don't contain Trojans. They just compiled my hacks, added some malicious things in it, and compiled it again so that it says that I grab login infos so that I can hack those accounts. And then he claims he can also send you the .py, being the Python file, or the exe executable file if you want to check for yourself. The only problem being that after he claims that these hacks were actually not having any Trojans and anything, he even admitted in the future how he did steal all this information for security reasons to avoid any bad people doing anything with his hacks. The problem with that being that all of his free hacks were actually very simple stuff. Even if you go on his YouTube account right now, you can see that the only actually public hacks he ever made were comment history hack, which is pretty much not harmful at all, level password hack, which is pretty much useless in that you can already use copy hack, leaderboard hack, which got somewhat patched in the new version since some leaderboards actually require you being whitelisted as a trustworthy player to go on them, which at the time was somewhat of an issue, but still not anything that will make him need to put any sort of information stealers and stuff. Lastly, being the stats hack, which a lot of people can actually use and doesn't affect anything, since Shroptop has a data system that will ban your account if you get stats too quickly to avoid hackers and stuff. Now, I probably won't make any other videos on Rylixmods unless he ends up replying to this or doing anything really. But in the end, I can safely say to all of you, you should not interact with this guy. You should not trust Rylix mods, and he's a big liar.